Hello everyone and welcome to my knits and latest WIP. My name is Karen and I'm joining you from Toronto, Canada. I am a knitter and I am going to create this video of all the items that I've knit for the month of September. And then I take the video and I break it down into all the smaller projects, and I take those smaller videos and I place them in my notes page on Ravelry for each of the individual projects. I'm hopeful that this is going to help others and inspire you for your next knit. So let's take a look at what I made through the month of September. So on the screen right now, you are seeing all my finished objects for September. A number of these are items for babies or for children, and most of them are gifts, and I have one item that I have created for myself. So for each of these items, I will tell you the pattern that I use, why I use that pattern, the yarn, the needles that I used, as well as what I learned, and if I did this again, what would I do different? So let's get started with my first finished object. So the first finished object that I'd like to share with you is the Work Sock Baby Snuggler. We have a number of new family members, as well as my friends' children are having babies, and so I have a number of showers that I've been invited to, and just gifts that I want to give to these new little ones in our world and those who are coming to us. So I am not really a blanket knitter. I've tried to make a couple blankets, but I find it really boring. Maybe I'm picking the wrong patterns. So when I'm going to a shower or want to make a gift for someone special who is having a baby, I tend to make the baby snuggler. So I have knit a number of these, and I love the pattern. It calls for a 5.5 or a US 9 needle for the ribbing at the top, and then for the body it's a 6mm needle or a US 10. Calls for bulky weight yarn for the Work Sock Baby Snuggler. And this time with these that I made, and I made two of them because we have two little ones on the way, and so I chose to use not a bulky weight yarn. So I had to make some adjustments with the pattern because I had purchased the Caron Simply Soft yarn, and I'll just put that right up to the camera so you can see it. And the reason I chose this yarn was so that was going to be a really easy wash for the mama or whoever was doing the laundry in the family. It is 100% acrylic, but it is really soft, and so I thought it would be ideal because they would need to be washing these. So I did one in navy, which is dark country blue 9711, and I did the other one with this lovely red, which is harvest red, and it is number 9763. And I also used white and silver, and I have very little left of these. And with those, it was, I'll just give you the information. The gray is feathered gray, and it's 9794. And all of this is on my Ravelry page if you take a look at these projects. And the white is 9701. So for each of those, I can tell you it is a top-down construction. You're knitting back and forth in this ribbing, and then once you get to that slit point, you join it in the round and just continue in the round. And after the ribbing, you're changing to a much wider a number of knits with purls, and then you're decreasing at the bottom to bring the big work sock toe together. So it's a really quick, easy knit that you can do in front of the TV, and I think it makes a great gift. Another piece that I did with that is a hat, and I'll show you the hats that go with this next. So to go along with that snuggler, the baby snuggler that I showed you earlier, I also made two little baby hats. So the 2-knot hat is a free download. The baby snuggler is also a free download. And this hat, the 2-knot hat design by Beutler, is such a cute little baby hat. There are tons of baby hats on Ravelry that are free patterns, but I just found this so cute with the little knots on top. It's really easy to knit. I used the same yarn, the Caron Simply Soft yarn that I used for the snugglers. I have lots of the red and the blue left over because you're only using a little bit of the red and the blue according to that pattern. So the rest of the yarn I used with the hat, and I still have yarn left over because the hat only takes about 45 grams of yarn. I didn't put any gray because the entire ball of gray went towards the snuggler. So using a 4.5 millimeter needle, and for the band and for the body of the hat, I used a 5 millimeter needle, and it knits bottom up. And then when you get to the very top, you're doing this funky little construction where you're knitting one of these knots up, and then you Kitchener stitch this piece together, and then you're doing the second knot to the top, and then you just wind those and knot them. And so I like to give this along with the snuggler together as a gift for a new little baby on the way. My next finished object are the Nighty Night socks by a design from the girls on the east coast of Canada. And they have created a number of the saltwater books. And I happen to have this particular book, the Saltwater Socks. And there are a number of great patterns in here. So I decided to make these Nighty Night socks. If you've watched any of my earlier videos, I've made these socks before, and I'm in the midst of trying to use up a lot of my yarn. I'm trying to stash bust, so especially my sock yarn. So I saw that I had enough yarn to make these socks because you only need about 54 grams because they're very short ankle socks. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to use up this yarn. I'm going on a road trip along the St. Lawrence in the province of Quebec here in Canada at the end of the month of October, and I need to make room because you know when you're on a road trip, if you pass by a yarn shop, you're going to jump in and perhaps buy something. So I'm making some room to buy some more yarn. And anyway, so I decided to make the Nighty Night sleep socks. Now what's really cute about these socks is take a look at the edging that these ladies have created on these night socks. It's so super cute. And I have them finished. They're made. I'm going to gift these to another friend on her birthday. And I put my little label on them as well. There you see Bear Wear. You flip it on the other side. Oopsie. And there you see Care Knit. So it's KarebearKnitwear. These socks call for 2.5 millimeter or with 3.25 millimeter needles to use a fingering weight. And I did use a fingering weight, but this yarn I bought in the beginning of June when I was traveling in Argentina. It's bespoke yarns, and it is 100% merino yarn. So I was a little bit worried about making socks out of 100% merino and no nylon or no polyamide in it to keep that sock from wearing quickly. I'm not sure if anybody's ever, if you've made socks with 100% merino, let me know if they are okay. Like, do you wear through them quickly? I don't know. So I'm always worried about that. So I added I have in my stash this little bit of mohair nylon merino, and I used that with the merino just to strengthen the whole sock. Plus it gives it a little bit of a halo to the sock. And I used a 3mm needle because I was doing the two together, and yeah, they turned out fabulous. It is a ankle to toe knit according to the pattern, and I just love the top. Like, it's just so cute, that little lacy finish that they do at the top of the sock. I didn't really learn anything new in knitting these particular socks. Would I do them again? Probably, because it's the second pair that I've made, and I definitely will make more of the socks that are in their sock book. You don't have to have the book. These Nighty Night socks are on Ravelry. It is a purchase pattern, and I've also put the link to the pattern, to their pattern that's on Ravelry. I put the link below so that you can pick it up there. And yeah, those are the Nighty Night socks, and I'm going to gift them to a friend for her birthday. So the next few finished objects that I want to share with you, I don't have with me because I already gifted this little set, but I do have some pictures that I can share with you. So this is the Weasley Harry Potter sweater designed by Allison. It was made for my niece's niece on her fiance's side, and it's a child size small, so a little bit for about a 2-year-old or so. So this is also a free pattern on Ravelry, and it calls for Aran weight yarn and using 5mm needles. I've made this before, and so I did some adjustments. I used 4mm needles and a DK weight yarn, and I was using for this one Nestle yarn. This is it is a double knit Estelle yarn, and this maroon or rich wine color is Q65509, and the golden color that I used there is I'm just pulling it up so you can see it. For the golden one, I don't have it on my Ravelry page, but I will add it. I may have it with one of the others, but I used very little of the lettering, and I used 155 grams of yarn for this particular sweater. I can tell you that it is a bottom-up construction. You knit the front, you knit the back, and then you Kitchener stitch the shoulders together. You knit the sleeves, and then you sew in the sleeves and sew on the side and sew under the sleeve. That's a lot of sewing for me. It's not something that I like to do, so I try to avoid patterns or make alterations. And so with Allison's pattern, what I did was I knit in the round for the front and the back all the way up to where she indicates to put the lettering. And Allison gives direction on knitting the lettering right into the front of the sweater or to duplicate stitch after. So I just put a removable stitch marker at that point, and I continued on to the underarm, and then I stopped knitting in the round. I knit the front, I knit the back, I Kitchener stitched the shoulders together, picked up the stitches in the armhole, and then I decreased the arms according to her instructions on how to knit the arms. You will notice in Allison's pattern, she does a ribbed cuff, and I chose not to. I did a rolled cuff because I did a roll at the neck, which she does, and I also did a roll at the base of the sweater, so I chose to do rolling cuffs as well. And it makes it nice and easy for the parents to be able to roll if the sleeves are a bit too long. So that was the Weasley design. I've made it before. I know I'm going to make it again. I have a number of nieces and nephews who are Harry Potter fans. They grew up with it, and so now as they're having children, they're wanting these different designs for their kids. One thing I will tell you, Allison's pattern does have the chart for the letter H, which is fabulous. But I chose not to put the H on the sweaters. I use the initials of the child for whom I'm making the sweater, and I put their first name initial on the front and their last name initial in the back. And so fortunate for me, I have a Harry Potter knitting book, which is wonderful. And inside that book, I found they have the charts for all the letters. So it was really easy to add the different letters on the front of the sweaters as I knit these for the children. In this book, by the way, they do have the Weasley sweater, but it's an adult size, and I really wanted it for these little babies. So I looked on Ravelry and was so lucky and grateful for Allison's patterns. So if anybody's interested in making the Weasley sweater, for an adult, you'll find it here, and I think you'll probably also find it on Ravelry. It would be a paid pattern. Allison's pattern is a free pattern that you can download on Ravelry. So I had extra yarn left over. That meant I could make something else to go with this little sweater. So here I'm going to share with you the basic beanie, which is a design by Emily, and it is a free pattern. It calls for 4mm needles, a DK weight yarn, and so I created this hat. It's bottom-up construction. I used 3.5mm needles on the band and 4mm on the body of the knit, and I just knit it all in the wine color. I needed 30 grams of yarn, and then I just put the duplicate stitch to put her name on the front of the hat. Really fast, easy knit, and it makes a nice addition with the sweater. I still had yarn left over, so I thought, okay, let's move on. So I decided to make toddler mittens to go with the sweater. This too is a free pattern download on Ravelry. I've made this a number of times before. It calls for DK weight yarn using 3.75mm needles, or US 5. Oops, sorry. And I used the DK, same yarn, 3.5mm needles, probably because I don't have DPNs of 3.75. And I used 17 grams of yarn to make the mittens. And again, I did the duplicate stitch for these mittens on the top, and I did an I cord to attach the mittens. Some mamas don't like, and daddies, they don't like the I cord for their children on the mittens, and I understand there was a time period where it was thought to be dangerous. So the way that I put it on there, it's easy to be taken off. So some like it, some don't, so you really need to know the people for whom you're knitting, and if not, be able to tell them that it's an easy remove if they need to remove it. The mittens are made from the cuff up to the fingers. It's a very quick knit. So with the sweater and the hat and the mittens, I was like, great, what a cute little set. But I still had yarn left over, so I decided to make something else. So with the leftover yarn, also a free pattern, kids knit socks. I've made these by Premier Yarns design team. I've made this a number of times, and I used, again, the DK weight yarn with 3mm needles, US 2.5, and it took I think 26 grams of the maroon and about 15 grams I used of the golden color. And I will find that the colorway for you for the gold, because I did use it with other designs. So I will get that color for you. What I can tell you about these socks, they're really an easy knit. They are from the cuff to the toe. I knit them, and it just made for a cute little set to give to my niece. And that colorway for the gold was the same Estelle yarn, the double knit. It's Q65 577. So it was a perfect little Harry Potter set to give her. And I took it home last weekend, and my niece and her fiance were really thrilled with this, so they can gift it to their little niece. So that's the Harry Potter knit set that you can create for someone special in your family. The next finished object that I'm going to share with you are the Easy Band Heel Socks by Anna. This is a free pattern on Ravelry for you to download. It calls for sock yarn and to use 2mm needles. I used 2.5mm needles, and I used about 55 grams to make the size medium. So as I mentioned earlier, I am trying to clear out my stash. So I've been stash busting because I'm going on a road trip and I want to buy some more yarn. So I've encouraged myself to use what I have up and to make room for the new yarn to come. So here are the little socks that I just finished in September, and they were from the ankle down to the toe. It was easy band heel, which was a very different way for doing the heel than I've ever done before. I'm used to doing a heel flap, so this was something new that I learned. It wasn't difficult, but I followed exactly Anna's pattern, and it turned out really nice. I'm super happy with the shape of these socks. As I mentioned, I made a size medium, as these are going to be a gift for my sister-in-law. The yarn that I used, again, I'm using up. So the yarn that I used was from Indigo Dragonfly, and this is a Mergoat sock. It's 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. So that was excellent for sock yarn. And I didn't think I was going to have enough of this to make a full set. That's why I changed the toe and the cuff. I had bought this Indigo Dragonfly yarn when I was at Vogue Knitting Live in 2024 at their booth. It's fabulous yarn. I used it for another pair of socks for myself, and I love it. Washes really well, and so I wanted to use it up because it's beautiful yarn. And so I mixed it with this Prolana sock yarn, and this is 75% wool, 25% polyamide, and it is in the colorway 185. And so a mixture of different greens, and one of the greens just happened to fit really well with the indigo colored socks, and so I mixed those together to make these for my sister-in-law. She's a big fan of the color green, and so I thought she would really appreciate these, and I've made room in my stash. I've also added my tags, and that's how I like to add my tags onto the socks. So it's Care Knit, and on the other side it says Bear Wear for KarebearKnitwear. I don't sell any of my knits. I only knit for family and for friends, but I still like to put my little tags on there and give them the gift. So these are the Easy Band Heel Socks. Will I make these again? Probably. It was a really easy knit. Love that heel. Something new for me, and I'm sure my sister-in-law will enjoy these. This finished object is something I made for myself. This past month, I went to visit a friend, and in the city where she lives, there are a couple of thrift shops, and she loves to go and wander through them, and I enjoyed that time with her. So when I was wandering with her through one of the gift shop, or through the thrift shop, I found a bucket, of yarn, and there were a number of balls that were the same. And I didn't keep the ball band because I used all of it up, but it was made in Holland, and it is called Shep Jess Superwash Ende, which I believe is it's an Aran weight yarn. It's 100% wool, and it's discontinued. So I thought it was an older yarn, but it was really, really warm, and it was really, I knew it would be perfect for winter gear. So I went looking for patterns to make a cowl, and what I really wanted was something tight around the neck but still would come over my shoulders. And so I found this free pattern on Ravelry that called for 4.5 millimeter needles, and they had made this design mixing fingering weight and lace weight yarn to form an Aran equivalent. You have to go look at the original design, and I put the link below, because this designer's mix of the colors of the fingering weight yarns is absolutely stunning. But I was using the pattern because I really like the shape, but you've got to look at how they combine these colors because it's absolutely beautiful. I think they used about 5 different colors. I used one ball of this yarn, and I used 4.5 millimeter needles, and it took 92 grams to make this cowl. I did not finish all of the cowl that's in the pattern because I ran out of yarn. So let me tell you the story. So I knew that I liked this A-line shape because I knew it was going to fit really well at my neck and then keep me warm. But with the rest of the yarn, I thought, yeah, I want to make a hat and I'd like some mittens. So I went as far as I was comfortable with the cowl, which I think it was about down to here. And I can tell you how many rows that I did do of this cowl. It had 164 rows, and it was top-down construction, so it was perfect. I went down as far as I thought I wanted to. I put it on barber cord and I left it. And then I went and made the hat and the mittens, and then with the leftover yarn from those two, I brought it back and I finished 140 stitches. I'm reading from my Ravelry page I put that in my notes. And I managed to do 140 of the 164 stitches. So it's a little bit longer, the actual pattern, but I didn't have yarn to do it. So I'm really happy with this. It's going to be great. I'm a skater, so this is going to be perfect to wear while skating, and it'll fit with my jacket. So that is the cowl, the Naboo, from Quebec. And check it out. It's a wonderful design. So to go with this cowl, I wanted a hat. And let me show you. The hat is the inside out knit beanie. And this hat, I've made it before, and it is super, super warm because you knit one part and then you knit the second part that goes right inside. So it is double thickness, and it is a free pattern on Ravelry. And the reason I chose this, I was watching the podcast Yarn Over with Us, Linda and Susie from the US, and Linda and her daughter went to a fiber festival, and they stopped at a booth where a gentleman was showing the Edinburgh hat, and it was the same concept, but I think his might have been fingering weight yarn. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh, I've made a hat like that. So I went back into my Ravelry page and I searched, and I found the inside out knit beanie. And I knew it was really, really warm. The concern I had was it's one size, and so I had to change the sizing to ensure it would fit me. I have a smaller head, and typical adult size small doesn't fit, and so I used, it calls for bulky weight yarn, 6mm needles, and I used this Aran weight yarn, and I used a 4.7 or 4.5mm needle, a US 7, and it took 58 grams of yarn to make this hat. And so 58 grams? I think it might have been more than that. I've got to go check that. But anyway, I love it. It is, the yarn when I first picked it up was a little bit rustic and maybe a little bit rough feeling, but when I washed it in hot water, it has really softened. So I was really, really happy with this. I made it small enough. It's going to fit me. It's going to be perfect for skating, and I know I'm going to be really warm. So that is my inside out hat, or my inside out beanie, and yeah. So to go along with the beanie and with the cowl, I needed to make mittens. And so here are the reversible double thickness mittens. It also is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I used 3.5mm needles, and check this out. So here's what they look like, because you knit, oopsie, you knit one mitten from the top, from the fingers, and you go down, and then you knit the next mitten to the end, and you Kitchener stitch. So you're doing a provisional cast on here, or the rounded toe that you use for the socks. You're using that cast on. I can't remember the name of it, but it is in the pattern, and they give all the instructions on how to do that. This is a free pattern. I used 3.5mm needles. It took 100 grams. So I think the hat was 158 grams, and this was 100 grams to do these mittens. And then you just have to put one inside the other, and that's what the mittens look like. They're super, super warm. The hat is really, really warm. And it's going to be a great set for skating this coming winter. One thing I will mention about the hat, you start from the top, and you do the increases and knit the body, and then you continue on with the body, and then you do the decreases to the point. You're knitting in the round, and then you tuck it inside and you attach it at the top. So it was a really quick, easy knit, all knits. The cowl was quick and easy knit. It's more of a rib with some areas where you're just doing knits. And then the mittens were obviously ribbing at the cuff, and then the rest of it was all knit. So I'm really looking forward to wearing my new set for skating this coming winter. I'm still working on stash busting, and so I decided to use a single ball of yarn that I had to make a Sophie scarf. And I have made so many Sophie scarves, but I find it's a really great pattern for stash busting, and it makes wonderful gifts. So a friend of mine had been in a thrift shop. She's often thrifting, and she came across this ball of yarn that she then gave to me and said, do whatever you want with it. But I thought it was really unique. And so, correct she is. It is most unique. I'm going to put it really close up to the camera so that you can see it. But it is a metallic yarn, and I'm going to move it a bit so you can see that. It has all different colors in it, but it has this metallic running through it. So I wasn't really sure what to do with this yarn. It's got some pink and blue, yellow and green, and so I thought, okay, perfect. I'm just going to make a Sophie scarf, and I didn't even have the ball band. I can't even tell you. I weighed it, so I had 48 grams. And so what I did was I started the Sophie scarf, and that's what I love about this pattern. You can use as many balls of yarn or little or as much of yarn that you have and go halfway or a little less than halfway and then start to decrease, and you get a scarf for whatever amount of yarn you have. And I think that's why I think it's a great stash buster. So I took that ball of yarn and I made the Sophie scarf, and I'm going to give it to my friend who gave me the ball of yarn, because I have enough gifts and I don't necessarily know who might want this, but she can decide on that. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the Sophie scarf is a very popular pattern. It's a purchase pattern on Ravelry. It's by Petite Knit, who makes amazing clothing for children, for herself, her husband, and they're really classic knits. They're very functional, and this is a cute little functional scarf. What's really nice about this scarf is that it's all knits. You cast on very few, you cast off very few, and the whole rest of the time you're knitting. So there's no purling, and I think for a beginner, this is a really good project, and it's a beautiful piece because you have that nice finished edging, and you have a functional scarf. You're not just knitting a rectangle. So I think it's really cute. I've seen people wear it a number of different ways, tying it once. And I think if you look on Instagram or even on Ravelry, you'll see different ways that people are wearing this scarf. So I did put my label on it. As I mentioned earlier, I have my own labels, KarebearKnitwear, and I always and putting my label on the gifts that I create, and even on my own I put the label. I don't sell anything. I make for family and friends, but I do like to put my label on it. I still had a little bit of this yarn left over, and every holiday, Christmas holiday that my family celebrates, I create bottle toppers, so that if I'm taking a bottle of wine to as a hostess gift, I like to put a Christmas topper on. So I've made a number of different toppers, and so I thought it'd be great with the leftover yarn to make some toppers. And so I made 2 little toppers, and they're really simple. They don't take very much yarn, and I just use the bits that I have left over. I think I cast on using 3 or 4 millimeter needles, and I cast on 21 or 24 depending on the thickness of the yarn, and I just make these toppers that are cute to put on top of a bottle of wine, or even and I just brought a sample here to show you. You can buy bubble bath in bottles, and there's an example of how you can add this, and then you could wrap the scarf around this. But anyway, I do create those birthday toppers and give them as extra gifts. So I'm going to put these 2 with the Sophie scarf, and my friend can then gift that to whomever she wishes. You will see on my Ravelry page, and I put the links below to the birthday toppers and to my holiday toppers, because I've made a number of them, and that's all on my Ravelry page, and it's in the links below. So that's the Sophie scarf and the birthday toppers. The teddy bear toy designed by Maria Ermolova. If you have watched any of my other videos, you will know that I have made a number of these teddy bears. This is actually teddy bear number 6, and I bet I will make more. Maria makes amazing designs for animals. So if you are into making stuffies, take a look at Maria's website. She's on Instagram as Palushka Bunny. She's also on Ravelry, and she does phenomenal designs. Her designs are for people who wish to knit, as well as for those of you who crochet. And while I talk about Maria's designs, I don't have this bear to show you, but I've taken a video of the bear and I'll have it play at the same time. So Maria's toy designs, her stuffies, she has a number of books that are either crochet or for knits, and I think right now her focus is on farm animals, and she's creating a number of different farm animals. I have made her teddy bear, monkey, goose, the Grinch, the snowman, this teddy bear, and as I mentioned, a number of the other teddy bears, and I also have a couple tigers that I just made that I'm going to share with you after. So the beauty of Maria's designs are that you can knit them, most of them, in the back and forth flat or in the round. She gives video instructions on how to stuff them and how to do all the extra features and designs of her animals. This is a paid pattern for the teddy bear toy design. All of her patterns are on Ravelry and they are purchase patterns. For this one, it called for Aran weight yarn and to use a 3.5 millimeter or US 4. I used an Aran weight yarn when I made this teddy bear. I used 3.5 millimeter needles when I created it, and I created it with the Caron Simply Soft Tweed. I had received a couple of these, I think 3 balls of this yarn from a friend. I made her 2 of the teddy bears and gave them to her as she has 2 grandchildren, and then I still had yarn left over, so I made this teddy bear that I also gifted to another friend who has a new family member. So from those 3 balls of the Caron Simply Soft, I managed to get 3 teddy bears. The teddy bears don't use up all of this the yarn. So I think on this ball there's 141 grams, and for a teddy bear I can make it with 85 grams of yarn, so there was left over. But this Simply Soft yarn is fabulous. It is 100% acrylic, but it really is soft, so it works well for the toys. Along with this teddy bear, I also made him a little bow tie. For all of my teddy bears, I made little bow ties, so I put the link to my designs in the description below, and if you go to the notes section of my teddy bears, you'll see I give the instructions of how I did the bow tie. And with the bow tie, I use the black hair elastics, and then I attach and I explain that in my video on about the teddy bears and in the notes section, and I just attach the bow tie to the elastic and I pull the elastic over the teddy bear's head, so it works out really well. Because I've made so many of the teddy bear, I put the link to the teddy bear toy explanation of making these toys in the description below. There's a separate video that shows you all the information of making that teddy bear. I'm excited to share this next finished object, or finished objects, because there's 2. It's the tiger toy by Maria Ermolova, also known as Polishka Bunny, and here are these 2 fabulous little guys that I'm going to be gifting with those baby snugglers. So I'm going to put the tiger toy inside the baby snuggler, which I showed you earlier, and I'll put the hat on these guys, and that will be the baby gift when these little babies arrive or when I attend the showers. So let me tell you about the tiger toy. I made this first one. It is a purchase pattern on Ravelry from Maria. It calls for an Aran weight yarn and 3 millimeter needles, so I used loops and threads. I don't know if there's, loops and thread, impeccable. It's an acrylic yarn, and it, 100% acrylic, and it's also machine washable. So I used this yarn And I'll tell you the colorway with this golden one. It's gold 347034 for the gold. And along with it, I didn't use black. It is more of a charcoal, and it is color 01731. And I also needed to get the cream color for their paws and snout, and the same yarn, the Impeccable Loops and Thread, and this is Cloud is the color, and it is 705646. So using these three colors together to make the first tiger. And then the second tiger, I changed the coloring. And I did that because I saw even in Maria's pattern, she has the two different colors. And I thought, that's going to be kind of neat. So I decided to make a different coloring. So I used more of a rust color. And this same thread, or sorry, same yarn, the loops and thread, and this is in baked clay as the color, 712815, and I thought that was a great combination. So for I didn't even use the entire ball, and but there's quite a bit. There's 260 meters or 285, and I've calculated that I still have enough, more than enough, to do another tiger of the same color. And I certainly obviously have enough of the cream and of the charcoal color. So let me tell you a little bit more about the design of this cute little guy. It is knit in the flat. So, and I think that's because of the snout and it's intarsia knitting. So the head is knit flat, and then you sew it together and you stuff it. You pick up stitches to do this nose, and the ears are knit separately, and then you sew them on, and you stuff the head, and then Maria shows you where, before you seal up the head, if you're using safety eyes, she shows you how to do that. I don't use the safety eyes because I'm giving these to really young children, and I'm concerned. I have never tried them, and I probably should, but I haven't. I go for safety. And I know they're called safety eyes, but I just am a little bit worried. If you've used them and you think they're wonderful, or you've even given them to people with little kids, let me know, because I'm just not aware. Anyway, so she gives you all the instructions of how to form. I mean, you're shaping it when you're knitting it, but then she gives video instructions on how to do all of this. And that's what I find so great about her patterns, is there's always links to videos, and she's showing you how to do it. And I'm a firm learner of observation, and so I just click on the video and start to do whatever she's doing, then I pause it, and then I keep going. So she shows you how to do this nose, how to create that structure of the snout area, how to put on the eyebrows. Now, because I'm not using the safety eyes, I did my eyes a little bit different. I crocheted 5 links in using my crochet hook, and then I joined them in the round, and then I did a second layer, and then I attached those on here and sewed them down a little bit. And that was the head piece. You seal the head off, and then you make the body separate, and you join the body and the head together. The body is also knit flat because of the intarsia knitting that you do with the belly piece here, and then you sew it together, you seal it up, and you stuff it and attach it to the head. The arms are, or I guess the legs with the tiger, they're all made flat with the paw section, and then in the round with the rest of it. And you stuff them, and then Maria gives you the instructions of how to do the claws. And I didn't use, I think she talks about using, escapes me the name of it, I just used yarn. I just used a thinner DK weight yarn to use to make those claws. I don't have a lot of the needlepoint thread yarns, so that's all I did. I used a DK black and I put on these claws following her instructions, her videos, and then she shows you how to do the tail, which is not stuffed, and then you sew together the back. You can see I'm not a very good sewer. That's why I tend to prefer to knit in the round. I do need practice on doing that mattress stitch. She does show you how to do it. I'm just not very good at it. And then I did add my KarebearKnitwear tag, and that is the tiger toy. So same thing with this little guy. I made him the same way, except I changed a couple things when I made him. I was trying to make it easier for myself. So I think actually with this guy, I used 3.5 millimeter, and then I switched with this one to use 3 millimeter. And I like the tighter knit because it doesn't bleed, the stuffing doesn't bleed through. So a little bit different here. I followed all her instructions the same, but when I started the body, which you start at the neck, I knit in the round because I didn't want to do that sewing together, and I knit in the round until I came to this section, and then I did the intarsia knitting as she explains to do. So that's the tiger toy. I plan to put these inside the snugglers and put the hat on the tiger, and I probably am going to buy Winnie the Pooh books with Tigger, and I'm going to put a nice baby Tigger book to go along with these two little guys inside the snugglers. I think that makes a great baby gift. So if you're into making stuffies, check out Maria's Instagram page, her Ravelry page, or her website, because she has fabulous patterns. They're purchase patterns, but they're well worth it if you're knitting for a number of little ones. So those are all my finished objects for September of 2025. Hopefully you've seen something here that you find inspiring, so that you can think about what your next project might be. For all of my projects, I have the links to them below in the description, as well as the links to the designer's actual page on Ravelry. Now I'm going to share with you my latest WIP, my work in progress. What's on my needles? So I say WIP because I only knit one thing at a time most of the time. And the reason I do that is because my brain just can't handle bouncing back and forth. And I know I talk to people who do this, and I know many knitters do it, but how do you not get confused? And people tell me they take notes and what have you, but when I put something down and pick it up and go on to something, I don't think I could do it. So that's why I knit one thing at a time. It works for me. Maybe someday I'll be able to do it different, but for now, this is what works. So I am presently knitting the Freyer sweater by Inga, who is known as Knitting Traditions on Ravelry as well as on Instagram. She has an amazing podcast. If you're not familiar and you're looking for inspiration or learning from someone who's a fabulous knitter, she definitely is. I think this was one of the first podcasts I ever started to watch during COVID. I had retired and I was moving into doing more knitting, and I found her podcast and have been watching ever since. It's very inspirational. She lives in Norway, and I really enjoy listening to her. I think one of the other first podcasters I was listening to was Arnie and Carlos, also from Norway, and I've just learned so much from that online community. Really grateful for working together with them online. And so this Freya sweater is what I am working on right now. It is a design that just came out. and I think it is a wonderful pattern so far. It's a top-down construction, so you start at the neckline and you work through the yoke and the raglan, and then you remove the stitches for the sleeves and then continue on with the body. And what I really like about this pattern, and I think it's really similar to the ranunculus, which is a really popular pattern, is that there's many, many sizes, and the samples show that it can be made in many sizes and in many fabrics, and even on Ravelry there's so many pictures that she has included from her test knitters, and also they show all the different yarns that everybody's used. Get engaged, but different yarns and different, and I think that's what makes it very similar to the ranunculus. Not the design itself, it's different, but it's in that it's so many options, so many different sizes, so many options, and different ways to make it. You have options for the neckline, and you have options to make it a box fit. You have the option to make it a fitted garment, and you have options to make it short sleeve. I'm going to make mine longer sleeve, and that's what I've learned about it so far, and I'm loving it. So let me tell you a little bit about the yarn that I'm using. It's the first time for me using this Drops Soft Tweed. It is wool and alpaca and viscose. Yeah, so it's 50% wool, 25 alpaca, and 25 viscose. And it has a little bit of a rustic feel, but when I washed my swatch, it really softened up. So I was happy for that. You have the option to do a crew neck, a mock neck, and then a larger turtleneck. And I think the turtleneck was 20 centimeters or 8 inches. I only did mine 6 because I don't have a very high neckline, so I made it a little bit shorter. And one of the things that I really love about this design, and hats off to the designer, is the beautiful cabling, and I hope you can see it, along the raglan. That is gorgeous. And then here's something else that I want to show you, is and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, hopefully I can hold it up, but also there's cabling under the arm. And am I getting it? I'm not getting it. There we go. There. Oopsie. I'm not sure if you're seeing it or not, but there is a set of cables right there. And so some of you might think, oh, I'm not favorable with doing cable knitting. I would say check this out, because the cable detail is gorgeous. It's going to be all in the ribbing, as you can see in her picture there. It's going to be in the bottom portion of the garment. And what's beautiful about this is the pattern gives a link to the video that shows you how to cable and without using the cable needle. And it's so simple to do. There's that video instruction that she gives, and so far I am absolutely loving this. I'm not having to use the cable needle to do that cable section, and it is turning out just beautiful. I can't wait to finish this. I bought this Drops yarn at a local yarn shop here in Toronto. If you live here, the Knit Cafe. It was the first time I'd been into their Dundas location. I received a gift certificate from one of my brothers, and so I visited the Knit Cafe and bought the yarn to create the sweater. I'm going back to the Knit Cafe. It's walking distance from my house, and I was really happy to see all the beautiful yarns that they have in their shop. And the person working there was lovely, very helpful, and yeah, so this is my Freya sweater. I'm making a size 2. There's some great instructions on the pattern as well as on Ravelry to help you and guide you on selecting the size that will best suit what you would like this garment to look like. So that is the Freya sweater. It is my present WIP, and I will show it to you next month finished. Perhaps I'll be wearing it, and it will be one of my finished objects. So this concludes my knits and latest WIP for the month of September. And we are now into October, and I am busy with my October knits that I will share with you next month. Hopefully there was something here that caught your eye, something that inspires you. If there's anything you want to share with me, please add in the comments below. I look forward to reading any of the comments that you leave, and I hope that this has inspired you to knit for the fall and make something special for yourself or for others. So until next month, be well, happy knitting, and happy Thanksgiving to the Canadians who are celebrating. Bye.